It is July 17th, 2012. It is 1 o'clock on the West Coast. It is Hug Nation time all over the world. If you're watching the archive, well, it's Hug Nation time now. When this vibration, these bits and bytes, become sound vibration, are released into your world, get in tune with your vibration, become a standing wave of magnificence and love, well, you're in the nation. So, before we get too deep, let's just take a moment to get centered in the now. Become aware of all the sounds that you hear right now. If you're a computer fan, my voice, maybe barking, cars, try just to hear the sounds and not apply a label to them. Just try to hear the pitch and the tone. Feel your feet on the floor, your seat in the chair. Notice your temperature. Let go of your stories, all the things in your ego mind, all your to-do lists, and just be present. Notice what you're experiencing right now, free from thought. A thought comes in, brush it aside, and come back to a feeling. In the now, we are rich. In the now, nothing is undone. In the now, we have infinity. And with discipline, we can choose what we bring into the now, what thoughts, what feelings. We can use our imagination and our memories to make the now filled with fantasy, filled with loved ones long gone, filled with loved ones far away. Thank you, universe, for all of the gifts. Help us to appreciate them. Help us to focus on all that is wonderful so that we notice so much more, so that it becomes what we are about, so that we are filled with joy and love, so we may spread joy and love in the world. Amen. Welcome! Oh my goodness. So much has happened since last week. And this week might be a little bit of a different broadcast. If this is your first time here, if you either were at the TEDx America's Finest City or heard about it and wanted to hear what it's all about. How come so many people are saying so many wonderful things about the pink-haired guy? Well, sometimes I have a planned thing that I talk about. We call it the Belief Buffet. It's some lesson or experience. And actually, I think I'll have one to share in the second part of the show. But first, I just wanted to talk about this experience because it's been such a huge part of the lessons in the last 6 weeks. And I feel like really this community and the Hug Nation people, it was our experience. So I just want to share it and let you know what happened and how it felt and all those things. The actual archive of my talk is not going to be online for about 3 or 4 weeks. Teaser! Coming summer 2012. So, where to start? If you have been hanging out for a few weeks, you may have heard me give a practice test, and or a talk, and you may have heard me alter and change and go through different degrees of panic and anxiety. And at one point I was trying to make the talk super rehearsed, and as I talked, the slides would do this, and I eventually decided I was just going to start with some slides, talk for the middle with no slides, and then end with a couple pictures and a video. And so once I settled into that, I felt a lot better. Still, it was a big battle about attachment. One of the reasons is, as people have told me all along, as I knew myself, is that this is potentially could be a very important and advantageous thing if I did well. It's like, and growing up, I was always, the way that I played like Little League. My mantra out in the field was, please don't hit the ball to me. 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 And so to kind of get to a point where I was like, can't wait to get on stage. Can't wait to get on stage. Can't wait to get on stage. It was a lot. I prepared more for this talk than I have, I think, anything in terms of putting time and work and thought. And even when every night as I would go to bed, I would go through it in my head. And most times when I was idle, and each time I would give myself a talk, I would record it, and I would take the audio and put it on my iPod, and I would listen to it in the car over and over and over again. And then I would change it, record a new version, and put that version, and listen to it over and over and over again. And it, even that way, the nature of the way I speak is that it changes every time. So I tried to get the basic gist of it and knew what I was going to say, and so then the day of, the night before was the dress rehearsal, and because I had some embedded media, it didn't quite work, and so I left the dress rehearsal not knowing if it was going to work or not, and they said, come back in the morning before the show and we'll try to walk through it again. So I came back and they're like, we're not ready for you, come back in an hour. I was like, yeah. So I went home and showered and got ready, came back early, and got all the technology things figured out. And so then, the La Jolla Playhouse is a really beautiful venue. I mean, it's like, big stage, like 500 people, nice seats. It's, it's where people see, nice plays in San Diego. And the lighting and the miking and everything was like high end. I got to wear one of those mics that's like a little, cord, little like almost invisible thing like here. I totally felt like Janet Jackson or Tony Robbins or something. In fact, I looked in the mirror with the little thing and I was like, oh, I just felt like, I felt like a speaker. I wore this shirt after all of I posted a bunch of pictures online with different outfits and tried to figure out what was the best. I eventually decided that what I wanted the theme of my outfit was, what would I wear if I was going out with my parents? And I wanted to feel like myself, but I wanted to be my outfit to be minimally distracting. I didn't want, what could I wear that my mom wouldn't say, that's nice, something like that. And so I tried I got as Steve Jobsian as possible. It wasn't my intention, but as I looked at a bunch of talks, a lot of people wore black, and so I'm like, okay, I'm wearing black. So, so I was in the second section, so I would listen to the talks of the first section, then there was an intermission, the Hugmobile was parked outside in the demo area, and a lot of cool stuff in the demo area, but then second section started, and I actually was backstage for the entire second section, and when I got so I hung out backstage and just listened to my talk, and was really calm, and just like, I was more trying to fight the excitement of getting on stage, because I was like, I really was eager to share this stuff, and at this point I knew that I couldn't prepare anymore. I knew all the stories. It was just a matter of, will I fall into the flow and will it come out, or will I like be a deer in the headlights and just like lose my train of thought and struggle. And there were people that did both that day. So then, I get mic'd up, they put a little powder on my face, and as I'm waiting backstage, I'm trying to monitor my water drinking too, because I didn't want to, it wasn't that easy to use the restroom. Like, once you're all mic'd up and stuff, they kind of want you right there. They don't want you wandering around. And so, if I think I might invest in like one of those stadium buddies, like a catheter in the future, just so I don't have to, because I was like, I was sitting backstage going, okay, small sip. I didn't want to do the pee dance on stage. Although, little spoiler alert, my first slide, it was a Twitter post. It was a screenshot from my Twitter, and it said, going on stage for TEDx AFC, should have made one more bathroom break. And then I said, I've been oversharing my life online for over 15 years. But today what I want to share with you is my grandpa Caleb. And then I went into a bunch of things about him, and then how we were different, and then kind of how I got to be more like him over the years. So it was fascinating. So when I was on deck, so I go from the back of the green room into like side stage, and so the person in front of me, there's a 20-minute talk, 15-minute talk, and those 15 minutes, talk about time being relative. It felt like 4 hours. I mean, I felt like I kept like, looking to see oh my gosh, their time clock is at 8 minutes. I've been sitting here for 8 minutes. Whoa, crazy. then went on stage, hugged the person who introduced me, and fell into it. And very early on, I was prepared that I might get emotional, because I'm talking about Grandpa, and it's, my parents are in the theater, my brother's in the theater, a lot of people I love are in the theater, and as I told the first kind of Grandpa story, I got choked up. And in practice, I'd gotten kind of choked up a few times at the very end, but here I was choked up at like a minute in, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be 8 minutes of me going... Plus, when I cry, my eyes get totally red and bloodshot, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to look terrible on camera. Luckily, I eked out the final line of the story, took a moment, and then kept going, and I think it worked out. It established that this was important to me, and then I just had so much fun. I did kind of lose my train of thought once, and had to kind of give a talk for a second and get back to where I was, but it was so amazing, and because the thing that I don't feel here in the same way, like I feel like we're connected, and I check the chat room, and I know that people are here, and I see the names, and I know that we're sharing this moment, but 450 people in a theater, where when I hit a line that is funny and everyone erupts in laughter, or when I took a pause and people start applauding, it was kind of like, as a comedian gets going in their routine, and have you ever been in live comedy, and you're almost like, they're just kind of moving you around with the way they talk and their timing, and I kind of felt like that after a while, like I'm steering the ship, but we're all in it, and we're going over rapids and pausing for some to contemplate, and then laughter, and then I'm going to stop it, and we applauded, and it was so thrilling. And most of it I was on autopilot and just in the flow, and just talking and sharing, and because I've been hearing it in my head so much, I knew most things that I wanted to say. And then I ended with a video of Grandpa and I doing Hug Nation on Halloween. And I meant to, when he finishes talking, I meant to start talking and flow it from him talking to me closing the Hug Nation, but I paused too long, and so people started applauding like crazy at the end of the video. And then I was like, and I said a few more lines and said thank you, and got just this incredible standing ovation. And first, the feeling of this, like, I did it, like I've been working so hard in a lot of ways, not just these last 6 weeks. This was the culmination of many years of this stuff, and it just was like my first shot in the major leagues, and I hit a home run, and it was overwhelming. I was just like buzzing. And then when I realized that my parents were in the theater, not just to see me do a good talk, but to see a room full of people, a place they go see plays about once a month. They're in a theater that they have been in many times, and to see the people around them go to their feet and just applaud their son. It was like, it may have been, in a lot of ways it was a highlight of my life. And not just because I don't know, what, I might have cooler things, but the fact that I could share it with my family so intimately was just a treasure. My mom and dad were very close, and my mom, has never, her job is mom, and so in a lot of ways I feel like my triumphs belong to her too, and I often will send her emails of people if I get an email that's particularly appreciative, because I know that I'm the product of of her love and effort and parenting, and to a big degree, I'm her project. As Hug Nation is my life's work, I'm her life's work. And so for her to see this and be a part of it, and I couldn't see because the lights, people said, she was just crying, and that was so amazing. And then my dad, he's a talented, smart guy, and one of the ways that he shows affection is by helping, which is sometimes hard to hear. It sounds like criticism, but he thinks that he's giving you advice, and that's the way he shows you that he cares and he loves, he's protecting you. And so I was so ready for him to say, you did a good job, you need to watch your gestures and maybe don't speak so fast in the future. But when he talked to me afterwards, he was so proud, and kept saying, you did so good, and you're so professional. It's like he just couldn't, he never seen me in that light before. Yeah, it was. I am so grateful for. I kind of felt like. It was a culmination of so much stuff, and that's why I wanted to spend a little bit of time during this broadcast to say thank you for being supportive and for helping me get to that point, and helping me practice and helping me get back in alignment when I was getting caught up in things. And so it was, I really feel like, I went into this thinking, I'm going to do my best, I'm going to surrender, I'm going to try to let go of attachment, but what I really want is to knock this out of the fucking park, I want people to be like, whoa, who is this guy? And a lot of people at the break were like, who are you, And the cool thing too is a lot of people, someone came up to me and they're like, this woman gives me a big hug and she's like, you just cured me of a whole bunch of prejudice. I did not expect someone who looks like you to be who you are. And I've gotten some emails about that too, and so it was really rewarding on many levels. Partially, and also it's this amazing feeling that while I also have my parents in the audience, I was talking about my grandpa. So it was this incredibly, while I was exposing myself to the world in a big, big way, it was such an intimate expression, and I felt connecting to my family and connecting to my grandpa. I was like, I probably have never been in his footsteps quite as literally as I was when I was on the stage, telling stories about him and lessons that I learned from him. So, it's supposed to be online in a few weeks. I have very high hopes for it gets spreading around, and hopefully, even if it doesn't get spread and shared, it's still I think it will be a example that I can bring to people and send to people and say, I'm interested in doing more speaking. This is what I'm capable of. I felt like you want to see what I can do? Boo! And so the question of the day on the Hug Nation Facebook page is, toot your own horn. What's something that you're proud of? I'm going to read the fantastic Marianne Williamson quote, in case you're listening to this thinking, man, I'm kind of slipping into cocky bastard mode. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. In a lot of ways, that is the kind of sub-theme of Hug Nation. Let our light shine. Remind ourselves that we're perfect. Remind one another that we're perfect, that we should be shining brighter. And then we become the message. We become this ripple as we go into the world. Sure, some people react negatively towards it. That's an effect too. Sometimes you gotta, knock into a wall a few times before it tumbles. So let's have a Hug Nation hug and settle in to this celebration of shining brightly. Wherever you are, grab yourselves by the shoulders. Be grateful for this vehicle, this meat suit that takes you through the world, this amazing nerve cell of the universe that lets you see and feel and hear and smell and taste. Let's remember that the personality, the to-do list, the anxiety, the attachments that we get so caught up in is just a part of who we are. We're so much more. There's so much of us that is not controlled by our mind, that is controlled by rhythms, cycles, and sometimes a force that we only get in touch with when we quiet and get present. So let's forgive ourselves when we get caught up in our story and maybe think other people are in our way or our enemies, and forgive ourselves for thinking that and forgiving others. Let's try to love other people for exactly what they are, as they are, even if they never change. Just for a second, let's tune into that self of ours that is deep down. Not our ego self, but our divine self. That seat of consciousness, that presence of love, that energy that connects us to all the other energetic, loving, shining beings. And just for a few breaths, let's stay connected and feel connected to everyone else on the planet, like each individual cells of one organism, with our perfect part to play. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. 2 more. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the love warriors, happy Hug Nation. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. Namaste.